We are the dog.
Hey everyone, Mikey here, and welcome to another guide video, where today I am going to be basically going through a quick guide as to how to handle the upcoming elite random TFOs, specifically focusing on ground today. I know a lot of players dislike ground, and in all honesty, I don't blame you. Ground is, well, ground. It can be fun, but yeah, we all know the issues. Some of the TFOs are going to be easy, some more difficult, but hopefully you will learn something today and I will be able to help you out. So let's get started. So most of the gear that you're going to see on screen is very easily obtainable for the vast majority of players, regardless if they are budgets or even free to play. Most of these items, again, simple, easy to get a hold of. Yes, there is a little bit of grinding involved, but let's just get into it, shall we? First of all, the kit frame is the Rising kit frame. It is the best kit frame in the game. You get that, of course, from the summer event. It is a little pricey, does take a little bit of grinding, but it is very worth it. For the shield, you use the Nakul shield, mission reward. Everyone can get that. The armor and your EV suit are going to be the Burnhams from the Discovery reputation. Again, easy to get a hold of, just does take a little bit of grinding. Your primary weapon is going to be your choice. We'll go over why that is a little later. And the secondary weapon is going to be your Nakul Temporal Operative, the assault weapon that you get from that mission for the 2-piece bonus. Again, we'll go into more details with that a little later. So, as I was saying, the kit frame, the best one is going to be the Rising kit frame, but it is important to remember to obtain one that has as much K-Perf or kit performance mods on it. The majority of the damage you're going to be doing is going to come from your kit modules. So the Rising kit frame, when you re-engineer it properly, does have the most. I believe it's at 127. The example I have on the screen is one of the ones I use. I did not re-engineer it properly, so I only have 96, but it's still effective. Some substitutes that I recommend is the Starfleet Frontier kit frames. These are on the exchange for very, very cheap. With not the best mods, you can get decent ones for 1 million EC or even less. They already come at Epic, so you don't have to worry about upgrading it too much. Examples on the screen are from each career path, where you have tactical, science, and engineer. They are career specific, but they also give you a bonus action. With the tactical ones, you get rally cry. Science, you get exothermic induction field, and engineer, you get a turret fabrication. I do use these quite a bit, especially leveling up tunes. As you see, I have been lucky with my tactical and science ones and got the ones with as much kit perf as possible, but again, get what you can afford. There are several other kit frames out there that are good. As I said, as long as you're looking at the kit performance, that's the big thing to look at. Another one that I don't have shown on screen would be the Delta Operations one, I believe they're called, as they have base crit chance built into them. Again, you can get those on the exchange for fairly cheap. The ground shield and secondary weapon are a 2-piece bonus, is then a cool temporal operative shield and weapon. I say they're a must for every build. These are mission rewards. It's from the mission Temporal Front in the Future Proof story arc. The shield is very useful on its own, as you also get that time distortion, so you get a little bit of free incoming damage. Essentially, you're immune. And as you see on the bottom, the reason why we use this is the 2-piece for the extra crit chance and crit severity. Again, this is a mission set, very easy to get. I highly recommend every player has this set equipped for handling ground. Again, you use the weapon in the off slot because the weapon itself isn't very good, and don't waste upgrades on it. So for the armor and the EV suit, again, it's from the Discovery reputation, so not difficult to obtain. Yes, it does take a fair bit of grinding, but also keep in mind, Starbase 1 Elite is probably the easiest Elite TFO. There's no fail conditions. So grinding those marks is not difficult at all. It just takes a little bit of time. Again, as you can see on the screen, they are good armor and good EV suit. But again, the reason why it is recommended and why a lot of us use it is because it has built-in crit chance and crit severity, which is quite substantial. For primary ground weapons, in all honesty, it really doesn't make much of a difference which one you pick. A lot of players I know do try to stick with like a cannon style weapon, which is fine. Most of your damage is going to be coming from your kit modules anyways. So whatever ground weapon you have or you like, go ahead, use it. But if you want to know what I use or what I recommend, well, here's a little bit of a list. My very favorite weapon in the game is the Discovery Auto Rifle. It is a low B weapon. Same thing with the portable phaser cannon, the Shaxx cannon, that big massive thing. Section 31 pistol has been my favorite ever since it came out. And the Mako rifle, I do have a soft spot for. Unfortunately, those 4 weapons, they are low B, so they are expensive and maybe out of reach for some players. So don't worry if you can't get those. Probably one of the best quote-unquote free weapons, or I shouldn't say free, easy to get, is the Elite Fleet Disruptor dual sniper rifles. If you are KDF, those things, they do okay damage, but they just look so bloody cool. I wish we could have something like that for Fed, but hey, at least KDF gets something good. The Omega Force Auto Carbine from your Omega rep is another fantastic ground weapon. Probably one of the best reputation ground weapons in the game. Highly recommend you do use that. The Section 31 rifle, which used to be a event reward way back when, is another fantastic weapon. Unfortunately, if you didn't do that event, yeah, you're kind of screwed on that. One that is very recent is the Strange New Worlds Phaser Pistol. Now, there's 2 variants. Get the one I like is the one that's just called Phaser Pistol. It is actually a fun little pistol that acts like an auto rifle. I have a soft spot for auto rifles. They are my favorite. I'm not going to say they're the best outgoing damage, but they're just my favorite. And I'd be remiss to not include the Type 2 compression pistol, aka the Wrath of Khan pistol. That has been a favorite of a lot of us for a very long time. It is a low B weapon, but it was also in the Genesis bundle as an account unlock. So if you have that bundle, you can use that phaser. It is arguably one of the top pistols in the game. Plus, it also has a unique animation, which is even better. We have to also talk about ground weapons for Borg. As we know, the Borg can adapt to ground weapons. So here's a list of weapons I recommend against using against the Borg so they don't adapt. However, I have to note the new mirror Borgs, they do adapt to these weapons. So you will have to have a modulator, but the classic Borg, they will not. Of course, everyone's favorite, the Tommy gun, aka Chicago typewriter. If you have that from the event, you are lucky. It's an amazing weapon, period. Unfortunately, the only other way to get it is with probably the worst bundle in the game, and that is that Picard bundle, which it is still not account unlock. It's only claimable once. So Cryptic, hurry up and give that as account unlock. Another classic would be the TR-116. It's a very, very good weapon. A little slow on firing, but it does do a lot of damage. Very good against Borg. Yes, you don't see them as much anymore, which is a shame, but it's still useful. Of course, the Zephyrin Cochrane shotgun. Hey, shotgun against Borg, always, always good. And of course, any melee weapon you like. I'm not going to give examples. I personally am not a fan of melee builds. I know there's a lot of people who are, and they are really good at it. So any melee weapon you have that will works very well against the Borg. And another one that I'm putting up on screen is the Infinity Modulator Rifle that came from an event not too long ago. I did test it out. It does pretty well. It's not gonna come close to making any records, but for a free weapon that was an event prize, if you did get it and you don't have access to, let's say, the Tommy gun or the shotgun, I would highly recommend using this. So kit modules is going to be a very extensive list. However, no matter what career path you picked, whether you're tactical, engineering, or science, whether you are min-maxing or just casual and want to do your part and not just stay alive, but also do damage, you should have these two kit modules. They're both from the Discovery Reputation again, so needless to say, the Discovery Reputation is the most important reputation in the game. It has so many items that are useful. And of course, these two, it's the Mud's Time Device, which you don't waste upgrades on, just leave it as is. It basically reduces your cooldown, and if you quote unquote die during it while it's active, you immediately respawn. So it's really useful for both outgoing damage and for survivability. And everyone's favorite, the Gravity Containment Unit, aka the Suck Box. You've seen so many players use this. You've seen it on my stream countless times. It can do massive damage. It is a fantastic kit mod that I do believe every player should have. So we're going to cover a few that are specific to tactical. The one that is pretty much a must is Motivation. Unfortunately, it is from the lockbox, and you can only get it from that or in the exchange, and unfortunately, it's not cheap. So that one, it might be unattainable. If you're gonna go for one, definitely do that. But the other examples are from tactical specific, or ones that are easy to get. They're either craftable or they're on the exchange for actually cheap, and you just upgrade them. Ambush is a fantastic one because you look at that massive bonus damage. It's just insane, especially when you time that with like the Suck Box or a few others that you will see shortly. The damage output is insane. Motion Accelerator is another one. I recommend this for certain maps, but not everything. It is good for melee because you see it is a substantial bonus, and again, that's the keyword, bonus. So it's cat 2 damage to physical damage for an extended time. The downside of it is, yeah, you end up running very, very, very fast, and they do stack if someone else has it. So keep that in mind as well. And of course, Rally Cry is a good one, but I wouldn't use this if you're using the Frontier kit frames, as you cannot stack them. But as you see, the Rally Cry gives you extra hit points, extra damage resistance, and extra severity, crit chance and severity. So it is a good ability. Specific to science, these are ones that I recommend, ones that I use, and there are plenty of others. So don't say you have to have these, but these are just ones I recommend. First of all is Neutronic Radiation. That's from your Delta reputation, so easy to get. It does basically an AoE of radiation damage. It's not a lot of damage, but any AoE damage is always good. Next two are either the endothermic or exothermic. You can't use them both. You can use one or the other. I prefer the endothermic. It's just I find it does more damage overall, and it is a slightly bigger AoE, and that's just from what I have seen, than the exothermic. And again, if you're using the Frontier kit frame, you can get a free exothermic, so you can, doesn't happen often, but you can actually get both an endothermic and an exothermic going off at the same time. And yeah, that just wipes enemies out completely. Now for engineering, I'm not the best at engineering ground builds, so my good friend JB and I talked, and this is what he suggested. First and foremost, probably one of the best engineering ground abilities is Anchor of Grethor. It is such a good ability. The damage output is actually pretty damn good, and basically you use it because it acts as a control ability. It pulls enemies together. It's a really good one. You get that from the summer event. Another really good one that I know a lot of engineers use, it is the Chronoton Mine Barrier, which is a basic ability, so it's craftable, very easy to obtain, and those mines actually do hit for a lot of damage. The Cloaked Mine Barrier, and that is from your Gamma reputation. Basically, those are the Jem'Hadar cloaking mines from that one episode where Nog is a soldier and loses his leg. And again, they do fairly substantial damage. So if you're going to go the engineering route, highly recommend these. And for some universal kit modules, these are all ones that I use fairly often. There are many others out there that are good. Ball lightning is probably the most recommended one. Assimilate is a favorite of mine, as you can create a whole army with it. Damage output is negligible, but hey, assimilating and having a whole army is fun. However, it only works against humanoid enemies, so it does not work against like Borgs and Kethi, Herc, that sort of thing, Tholians. So if you're using if you're in a TFO that has those enemies, do not use assimilate. Swap it with something else. Agony field generator, we all know how good that is. It's such a massive AoE and massive damage. Collective will is really good. Very high single one hits. I've always liked chain conduit capacitor because it hits multiple enemies. I know it's not meta and not the top, but it's fun and I enjoy it and I do recommend it. Ball Obelisk is probably the hardest hitting kit module in the game by a long shot, especially when you're paired up with other players that are using it. I have seen hits as higher than 100,000 with that. The only downside, it's random who's actually going to get credit for that hit. So if you're going for a record, it's a roll of the dice who gets it. But a favorite of JB's is the Covert Assault Drone, and I agree that is a very overlooked kit module. Does decent damage, and the sound effect is actually not too bad, and it's actually cool having a little drone shooting everything that you're shooting, especially when you have like an auto rifle that's hitting multiple targets, or the Section 31 rifle and its secondary where it just hits a whole area. That's where the Covert Assault Drone really shines. Adapt is an older one that we used to use because it used to proc Mud's time device better before they patched that with the old motivation glitch. But Adapt is good, that if you're having survivability issues, it's a good one that I recommend you look into. And the V'ger probes, which was an event prize from I think last year, they are actually another one that's overlooked. They actually do decent damage and are a good budget alternative. Now, traits is where things get tricky. There's a lot of personal traits that are useful. However, some of them can be very expensive on the exchange if you don't own them or you don't have the trait boxes that drop from the Infinity Lockbox. The main one that you should be aiming for is Hive Mind, and that is because it is boosted by other players who are using it. As you can see, it's plus 2% bonus damage per teammate, and that is doubled if another teammate, and so on and so on. So it is one that if you're going to save up and get one, get that one. There are several others from that box that are good, but I'm not going to go over all of them, as then this video will be way too long. It's already a bit longer than I'd like, so let's just keep moving, shall we? Field Technician, Creative, and Lucky are ones that every captain already has access to, and they are, as you can see, improve kit readiness, kit performance, and give you a little bit of crit chance. Ones that I highly recommend you use. And then when you hit level 15 in your kit module R&D, you get Technophile, and that gives you a huge kit performance boost. Yes, it has a 24-second cooldown, but hey, it's still a big boost. And it's not one you have to spend money on, it's one you get for free with a little bit of grinding. And then we're just going to touch briefly on devices. The main one is the gambling device or the Rainbow Tribble from the Summer Store. I recommend either or. The Rainbow Tribble is a little bit better in my opinion because it can stack with other players who are using it, or you can have other players using the Rainbow Tribble and then you use the gambling device. That's the only time you can use them both. Frosted Boots from the winter event, that's strictly to help run across, get there faster. Also, the feline charm, I forgot to put that down, is another one that's good for moving around the map quick. Large kit overbooster from R&D. Definitely be crafting those, definitely be using them because it gives you a good amount of kit boost. Any combat pets you have, if you want to use them, go ahead. They're not going to do any substantial damage, sometimes barely even noticeable damage, but they can be useful for distracting enemies and taking some of the hits for you, and also they count for increasing the power of like collective will, for example. And if you're having issues with survivability, by all means craft large hypos. They are easy to craft, dirt cheap, and give you a substantial health boost. So by all means use them if you are struggling staying alive. So just a few little disclaimers. I made this presentation basically to help guide everyone out there for equipping yourself for doing random elite TFOs. If you haven't done elite level before, it can be much more difficult than advanced, especially if you're not prepared. And also you have to keep in mind that the elites do have failure conditions, so all the optionals are not optionals in elite. So you have to keep that in mind, that you have to make sure that those objectives are being completed. Otherwise you will fail. But the trade-off is you get the extra marks, you get the extra elite marks, and by doing randoms, according to the blog, we're even going to get the crafting items for the advanced console of our choice. So that means it'll be easier to get isomag components to make isomags. So here's hoping they stick with that. I'm not an expert or a record holder. I'm just a longtime player that I truly do believe in helping other players become better. That's my big thing. It's passing on the knowledge that has been passed on to me. I've been blessed by being friends with like people like Augie, Megla, JB, and so many others, and they pass on so much knowledge to me, and I just want to make sure I keep passing it on to others. Remember, the number one rule is still have fun. If you're not having it fun, then you're not doing it right. There's a lot more items that I didn't cover that can be useful. At the end of the day, build your captain how you want and have fun. It's going to be a lot of trial and error. If anything in this has helped you, I'm so happy. If you have any feedback or if there's any other suggestions you have, by all means, put them in the comments. So I just want to thank you for taking the time and watching this. I truly do hope this is helping people get ready for handling the random elite ground TFOs. I will be looking to do a space one in the near future. Unfortunately, that one does take a lot more time to set up, as there's a lot more randomness with space builds than there is ground. And if you are looking for a Federation or a KDF fleet, Pirate Scum Brotherhood and Papa Sierra Bravo, we are always recruiting. We have both fleets are fully maxed out. By all means, join the PSB Discord. The link will be down in the description. We have lots of people who are very willing to help you with anything you might have, whether it's builds, grinding out marks, power leveling tunes, anything. We are such a open and friendly fleet, and everyone's treated as family. And as always, do all the normal YouTube things: comment, like, and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. We all hate saying it, but the sad truth is it truly does help the algorithm. So until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.